All right, so first of all, thank you to everyone for coming out today on such short notice. My name is Dan O'Keefe. I'm the commissioner of the DECD. And I just want to kind of first give a bit of a personal story. I, believe it or not, have a personal experience with a flash flood. 25 years ago, and I had to look it up almost to the day, I found myself in the middle of a flash flood. And it was a day in which 21 people died, mostly young teenagers. And I learned that day just how quickly, the very definition of the term flash, that a situation can turn from the appearance of relative safety to extreme tragedy. Tragic loss of property, and in this case, tragic loss of life. So today, I'm thinking about the Joyner, the Roskowski, and the McIsaac families, all of those affected. Today, the governor and I have been touring impacted businesses here, and I experienced a range of emotions. I found just profound sadness at just how extreme the damage is here, but also hope and optimism. You know, as you talk to members of the community here, you realize how much folks have stepped up, how much this community has come together to start the process of rebuilding. This is one of those moments where, in the worst of times, it can at times bring out the best in people. So I want to thank our first responders. I want to thank everyone who is in the process of helping to rebuild. And I want to thank our communities for your patience and your engagement as we do so. So towards that shared goal, today we are announcing a $5 million grant program, which will provide up to $25,000 per affected business. This is intended as stopgap funding, so we wanted to come in very quickly and provide that funding while we continue to pursue and await federal funds. Businesses can apply for everything from cleanup to their lost inventory to their lost revenue. The goal here is to really help these small businesses, which are the lifeblood of our economy, start the process of reopening. We at the DECD will be conducting a bi-weekly virtual webinar, for lack of a better term, where we will be consolidating information from the various state agencies, what we're all doing to help with this process, and really try to get as much information out as we can into the community, as much of your feedback back, and answer any questions you might have. Sheila Hummel, who's our director of our Office of Small Business, she is here. She does have flyers that she can hand out with all of that information on it. Today, we will be hearing from some of the businesses that have been impacted, from our municipal leaders, First Selectwoman Dragonis of Seymour and First Selectman Temple of Oxford, from our state officials with an update on our collective response, and finally from Representative Hayes, Senator Blumenthal, and Governor Lamont. So now I'd like to invite Mike Abe, a small business owner here in the community. He is the owner of the Route 67 diner you see behind us, to share some words.
Okay, when you tell me start, can I start? First, I'd like to thank you so much, deeply from all our hearts, the governor being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We cannot thank you enough. Also, I'd like to thank you, the Valley, Seymour, Thomas, Nicole, Anne-Marie, and more. As all of you know, we came Monday morning and it was a disaster to all of us. I lost 67 family diner. I lost from fork, from spoon to walk-in cooler. I lost everything. And we appreciate that the governor here. And on behalf of all, I'm asking, please, to help us as soon as possible, even with the state, FEMA, or even loans. We need to come back. We need to open. 67 Family Diner is the mother of Seymour. Everybody knows 67 Family Diner. And we need to come back stronger and better. And I will do, me and my family, my wife Linda, will do the best as we can. But we still need a little help. So please, Governor, we ask you to do your best as soon as possible to get this plaza running as soon as possible. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much.
Sir, can you spell us your name, please?
My name is Mike, and the last name Abe, A-B-E.
Thank you.
And thank you to the community. We wouldn't know what to do without you. We thank you from all our hearts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll next be hearing from Christopher Hayden, the co-owner with his wife Robin of the Country Card Corner Hallmark.
Hi, I'm Chris Hedden. This is my wife Robin. We own the Country Card Corner, the Hallmark store here in the plaza. First, I gotta like to thank the governor for coming down. Appreciate that very much. The state showing an interest in what's going on down here. I gotta thank the fire department, the emergency management, the first selectman of Seymour has been doing an incredible job, as well as the Claire and his family. They're doing what they can for the amount of time that we've had here. I think all the store owners. I'm a former Marine, so to use a military term, it's just fog of war. We haven't processed what's going on here yet. It's just, we've been here for 46 years. It's a second generation business. 3 generations have worked here. And for the stream to come up this high and do what it did is just incredible. We've never experienced anything near this at all. So it's just unbelievable. What am I leaving on?
It's hard to process what to do next.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the next process. We've got so much work to be done still. Like I said, we're glad the state's here helping us out. Everyone's been great. I'm sure the state's going to step in and not let the businesses fail. And we're glad all you guys are here and showing an interest, so we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll be hearing from David Wrights, co-owner of the Tide Cleaners in Oxford.
Hello, I'm David Wrights. This is my wife, Emily. Thank you for being here. Thank the governor for being here. The Commissioner of Economic Development. We've had great support from the Chamber of Commerce, and our story is we've been investing in New Haven County. We have 4 locations of cleaners, and one was in Oxford. Sunday afternoon, a river came through the building, and we lost everything. It was up about 3 feet. The good thing that we found out Monday morning, it was just below the close, so we ran circles back to our main area in Meriden where we do processing, brought all the clothes back over 24 hours, and there's a period of shock. The building's compromised. There's no insurance. We're in a floodplain, so nobody's insured. Small businesses, we lost about $100,000 if you look at all the investment we did in the building, the equipment, is a total 100% loss. But there's something I want to share is that I learned something in this moment is to ask for help. So we're a small franchise business, local owners, but Procter & Gamble, Tide, we went to them and I asked them for help with their Loads of Hope program, which is a program that they started during Hurricane Katrina. And anybody affected in the community, Oxford, Seymour, can bring laundry, bag of laundry, and we will clean it for free, supported from Procter & Gamble. And the other help we needed was a place to do business. We have a big yellow unsafe sign. We can't go into the building. So Corey Walk, I want to thank them too. I met Patrick Haynes during an event on last Thursday, and he said anything we could do, we'd like to help you out. So Friday morning I made a call, and I would say even faster than P&G. It was within 5 seconds. They said you can have a space to run the Hopes of program out of Corey Walk, so we have a place to operate, and that kind of sharing is how the business community is coming together. And then what this grant program, super happy to to be offered that. And the needs now we need is 67 to be open. It is the lifeblood of the small business community, and it's closed right now. So that would be, for that to be open would help all the businesses. So thank you so much.
Next, we have Temis and Nicole Claridis, whose family has owned the plaza you see behind us for over 100 years.
Thank you all, and I want to thank the governor for his interest and acting swiftly, because that's what the issue really is here. We've seen the devastation. We know that there are SBA loans out there. We know that there will be FEMA hopefully coming, but there's nothing happening now. And these businesses, you heard them, these are all family businesses. They put everything they make into making the business better, and they have nothing left. And we, as you know, our grandfathers started this, and our father and our uncles built it, and we are a family business, but they are our family. And we have done everything and will continue to do everything we can to help them build back better and stronger, but we need help, and we need it yesterday. You know, as somebody who was in politics, I understand how difficult these things are, but I also understand this is a 1 in 1,000 year storm, and nobody was expected, and you couldn't prepare for it. So it's not as if that these people didn't prepare properly. And we want to say thank you to the community. We always say we're a small community, but we're mighty. We had people from all over the state come and help our business owners to remove product from their store. We had hundreds of people come and donate. We had local businesses, restaurants from out of town that came and dropped off food for us. Our emergency management, our police chief, but everybody down the chain. It's not just the people that run, it's all the support staff. Our first select woman was on the phone, on emails, talking to people, and made sure that everybody got the information that they needed out there, whether it's on social media, via text, or calling people every second of every day. And that's what's going to bring us back stronger than ever. And thank you, everybody. Thank the community. Thank you to everybody for doing this, because we know we can't do this unless we do it together, and we can't wait for FEMA money, and we can't wait for loans to come in. We have to have it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now hear from some of our municipal and state leadership, starting with Seymour's first selectwoman, Anne Marie Dragonis, and Oxford's first selectman, George Temple.
Together, right?
Together.
As always. So, thank you all for coming out here. Thank you, Governor, for touring the site. We appreciate it so much. And as we spoke before, Seymour and Oxford, very small towns. Main Road 67. It connects us. And without 67 being open, we have nothing. But it wasn't just 67 that was affected. It's also businesses on 34 and families on 34. So the main thing is, we want the small businesses. The small businesses are what makes Seymour and Oxford. Our residents, they've lived here, their family here, they've been here for generations on top of generations. For the families that were affected here in the plaza, it's devastation. They have nothing. They're small businesses, they have the COVID loans from the time COVID hit, and now they're just coming back from that. They need something else to help them. Maybe not a loan, maybe grants, maybe just front them the money to get them up and running. But what we really need, and what I'm hearing from my residents, are the roads. The roads need to get done. We have Oxford students are starting later because of that. Without the roads and the infrastructure, we have nothing. George.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Yesterday, as I was driving through the town, I came upon a lemonade stand that was put up there with a bunch of little kids for a quarter lemonade. And the proceeds were going to go to the relief fund. As I went in there and talked to those kids, one of them couldn't be any more than 5 years old, came over and said, "That man just gave me a check for $300." And that's a pretty good profit for a lemonade stand. This is a crazy time of the year. As we all know, there's the federal elections and the state elections. in Oxford and in Seymour, who the two towns have always been very, very close together, I could tell you there is no such thing. There are only citizens who want to help neighbors, and that's all I've seen. And I'm very proud of them. I really appreciate you, Governor. The state has been extremely supportive. I thank Commissioner Boughton for going with me today, helping us with a little financial advice. And I think they're doing a bang-up job, and you can see already we're gaining a momentum in Oxford to get it fixed. And I would like to, one thing, point out that we had a donation today from Thomaston. The firemen up there did a boot drive, and the amount of the donation, what they collected, was $18,000. So, and we had $10,000 from the from St. Michael's Church. That's my church. I should know that. And we have a $100,000 pledge by the Cornerstone Church of God for relief efforts for flood victims. So, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Tom Haynes, for volunteering to give us some fill. That's hard to find now, and we really need it. But
one more thing. We just want to say thank you to our emergency responders and the community. Without the help from the community and our emergency responders, we don't know what we would do without you all.
That's that. I'll echo that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll be hearing from Bill Turner, our state's emergency management director, and my fellow commissioners, Euclideo and Dykes, with an update on the state's efforts.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katie Dykes, and I'm the Commissioner at the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Just want to provide a few updates on some of the response efforts that DEEP has been involved in since this incident last week. You can see from the flaring over here some of the work of DEEP's emergency response team who've been working hard around the clock to help recover a lot of propane and oil tanks that washed into the floodplain. Even a car that's been wedged under a building and a culvert. We've seen some extraordinary damage as a result of these storms, and our spill response team is helping to recover hazardous materials and make sure that they can be safely flared here. We have also been, in addition to that, doing all of the dam inspections. We were monitoring the status of dams around this area, and the good news is that all of the dams that we were watching, they held, and so we were, and now we're confident that there's no major maintenance that's required as a result of this storm. So that just speaks to the importance of our dam safety protocols and the continuing investment in maintenance of these dams. You know that last Sunday, our emergency response teams and our Parks Division and Con Police provided for the safe evacuation of 46 campers and staff who were at the Kettletown State Park campground. I just came from the state park to survey some of the progress on restoring some of the bridge access. We had a bridge that was washed out there. And so we're working, I really appreciate the close partnership with the Department of Transportation. We're working hard to allow for temporary access through a bridge replacement for some of the nearby residents on Georges Hill Road that have been affected by the loss of that infrastructure. Of course, we know that, this is a 1,000-year event, but it's part of an unfortunate trend of accelerating climate impacts. According to the Northeast Regional Climate Center, the Northeast has seen a roughly 60% increase in the number of days with extreme precipitation. And that means that these types of events and risks are becoming more challenging to manage. So DEEP has provided, with the support of the governor and the legislature, we have the Deep Climate Resilience Fund, where we provided planning grants for municipalities. We're going to be opening up in September to provide for matching funds for municipalities that want to pursue federal FEMA infrastructure funding. But I'm also proud to announce today that we are going to be making available on-call resilience contractor services to the municipalities and communities affected here, because there are major infrastructure decisions and projects that are going to be undertaken as this community is building back, and we want to make sure that our community leaders have the resources that they need immediately to be able to get advice on how to redesign that culvert, maybe to be a little bit bigger for the next storm event that may be impacting communities. So we're going to, communities won't have to do a contract on their own. They can work off of DEEP's contracts that we have with contractors already to make this as easy as possible. And we'll be using our climate resilience bond funds to help support that program. So we're reaching out to the COG and to the municipalities about those services. We know what that means, not just for protecting communities, but also as we think about impacted businesses that are considering what their insurance premiums are going to be going forward. We're hopeful that some of these infrastructure investments that are more future-proof will help make some of those insurance costs more affordable for businesses and for residents going forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Turner. I'm the State Emergency Management Director with the Connecticut Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. I'm going to keep my comments brief. I know the public probably really is looking mostly for an update on where we are with getting FEMA and the Small Business Administration in here. So I'm happy to report that we'll have teams arriving on Wednesday, primarily starting to look at New Haven, Fairfield, and Litchfield counties. That's the next step in our process to seek federal presidential disaster declaration. We need to get them in here to survey the damage, just like we're doing here today, and confirm what we're already telling them, and then we have that declaration drafted up, ready to go as soon as they're done their assessment at the end of the week to submit to the president for that major presidential disaster declaration. It goes without saying what we saw with this floods are unprecedented. You've heard a 1,000-year flood. You hear the numbers, you hear record being broken constantly, and we know that the FEMA process to get that declaration takes time, so we're really happy to hear that state agencies are stepping up to fill those gaps for those immediate needs right here and right now. So what we do ask is that you, as the public and the residents and the businesses, please continue to report your damages. We need that data. Reach out to your local emergency management office. Report your damages, because we need that to be able to tell our story to get that declaration. If you're in need helping clean up, please visit crisiscleanup.org. There's amazing voluntary organizations active in disaster that are out there right now looking to help people clean out, muck out their basements, get their lives put back together. And we heard Commissioner Dykes and other agency commissioners talk about state programs that are available, because the idea is here we know there's needs, and we want to make sure that as we're addressing those immediate needs, we're also looking to mitigate the future impacts of storms of the future. How can we prepare and make our communities more resilient? So all around, we want to get you what is needed. I'll be sure to take any questions on that, but I just want to say that please, can't emphasize enough the importance of continuing to report your damages so that we can pursue that federal declaration. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Commissioner Euclidito.
My name is Garrett Euclidito, Commissioner of Connecticut Department of Transportation. Over the past 8 days, DOT crews have been working every single day, including weekends, multiple 24-hour shifts to continue to first secure all of our infrastructure, remove any debris that would be causing future damage to our infrastructure, and assessing the damage that has been done to our bridges and roads and culverts. We have gone from around 27 state road closures down to 11, and the number continues to go up and down. As we remove debris, we identify future concerns that we need to address, but we are continuing to make progress. We triaged a lot of the most at-risk locations and those that had homeowners with no access outside of their property. That was our top priority, to make sure that emergency vehicles had access to those homes, and that should all be resolved today. So as we move forward, we are continuing to open more roads as we move forward and developing alternatives to either a temporary solution, opening a single lane where possible, and then work towards permanent solutions to other major structures that we have to address. So encourage everyone, ctroads.org is where we're posting all of our state roadways that are impacted. That does not include any local roadways impacted. but that's where every day it will be constantly updated with any closures, removing those that are no longer impacted. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners and Director Turner. Next, I'd like to introduce Congresswoman Hayes.
Thank you. I'm Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, and I don't represent this area, but I came here mostly to listen, and I think to echo what we heard from our Department of Homeland Security. FEMA goes through several stages. We got that initial first declaration, but now we're in phase 2, and it is going to be incumbent upon us to tell our story and document our damages. So I am encouraging everyone, even if you think your damages will not be covered, we need for them to be reported. And it's not on a town-by-town basis. FEMA looks at it by the county. So in order for us to meet that threshold that we're trying to be able to at least provide some federal support for individual damages, we need for all of this to be reported. So that's what I am encouraging people to do. Also, to report damages to your insurance companies, even if you think they won't be covered, because FEMA only covers unreimbursed damages. So it really puts us in a position to say, this is what it looks like on the ground in the state of Connecticut, and this is the actual value of the damages that we are faced with. I want to echo everyone and just thank the governor, because FEMA does take time. President Biden signed that initial disaster declaration in less than 24 hours, which is remarkable. But now there's a waiting period to collect the data. So for Governor Lamont to step in and provide immediate relief to people on the ground is how we get through disasters like this. It's the whole community coming together with federal, state, and local support coming together, but also, as the commissioner said, preparing ahead. Infrastructure funds to make sure our roads and bridges are up to in the best shape that they can be. Climate mitigation and resilience to make sure that we know how to divert water and deal with situations even when they happen. So again, just thank you, and I encourage everyone, please document your damages and report them, even if you think that they won't be covered or that you can handle the damages yourself. The exercise of you documenting it may help your neighbor who can't handle their damages on their own. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. Senator Blumenthal.
We're here because we want more than words. We want action. And I know that everybody here is hungry for action, not just rhetoric and speech making. I want to offer my thanks to the governor and his team, to local officials of Oxford, Southbury, Seymour, Danbury, all across this area which has been so hard struck. And I want to say thank you to Nicole and Themis. You've heard from them already. They have been constant in their advocacy for these small businesses. They have literally texted me every single day, sometimes twice a day, not for themselves, but for the business owners who are literally going through such heartbreak and suffering. And to the emergency responders, I just came from Southbury. I spent a part of the day in Southbury going around there. To hear the stories of how police and fire and emergency responders literally took people out of the torrent of rushing water, endangering them perhaps with fatal injury, putting their own lives at risk. There are countless stories of heroism still to be told in the wake of this flooding. And for anybody who's out there wondering why we're here, this flood was of biblical magnitude. Literally, the amount of water that fell on Southbury alone was the volume of Lake Zor. Think of it for a moment. In that 6 hours, the amount of water falling on just one town, Southbury, was the volume of Lake Zor. That's what the first selectman, Manville of Southbury, told me just an hour or so ago. So there is a lot of work to be done on the roads, on bridges, on culverts, on dams, on small businesses and homes. And here's where we are. The emergency declaration will cover some of the repairs. But we need to think longer term and bigger about a major disaster declaration, which will depend on that documentation that people are doing right now. But simply repairing and replacing what was there before ain't going to cut it. Back to normal is not enough. We know that the 1,000-year floods are coming every 5 years or 10 years. Building back to normal is not enough. We need to build back better with the resilience that's required to contain the little river when it becomes big and it does huge damage. And that's why we have the Jobs Infrastructure Act with tens of billions of dollars. We're not going to be limited to FEMA or its resources. We're not going to be limited to the money that's for repair and replacement and recovery. We need money to go into investment in resilience from those tens of billions of dollars that have been appropriated, invested through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. That's what the money is there to do. Exactly the kind of bulwarks and abatement and prevention of this kind of disaster. The fact that it was caused by flooding should be of no consequence. We should fight for that money, and I guarantee you we will. I pledge that our delegation will be united in getting our fair share of those billions of dollars under the leadership of the governor. We've already gotten a lot to rebuild roads and bridges. We're going to do it here in Oxford, in Southbury, Seymour, Newtown, Middlebury, all the towns most deeply affected. And I want to thank all the folks who are here from Oxford, all the commissioners for standing with us today. This town has come together in just an inspiring way. The sense of community has been incomparable, as you would think in towns like Oxford and the others, and I thank them for their example of citizenship. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. So we at the DECD spent the last week on the ground in these communities, meeting with small business owners, really getting a sense for scope and what the need was. And then I brought the idea to the governor. And the governor asked me some very direct questions, as is appropriate, and he said to me, how fast can we get it done? That conversation was on Friday. So I want to thank the governor for your decisive leadership and ask you to come up and say a few words.
Yeah, Dan, we wanted to get this done fast because it's incredible how fast this tragedy happened. You know, we get a little warning on National Weather Service, watch out, there may be some heavy rains, and all of a sudden you're standing in your store, you're under a foot and a half of water, and National Weather Service gives you an alert, watch out, there could be some flooding. And it's just shocking, the stories you hear from the small businesses as you walk here. Hallmark greeting cards. I love these guys. They got a 2% discount on Mother's Day cards. Borrowed that money so they get Mother's Day card earlier. There are no Mother's Day cards. There are no Christmas cards. Totally wiped out. Right here, Mike, over here at the Family Diner. You know, been here since 2014. This is a family place. It says where customers become family. If you see the store in there, see the sign in there. And you see an enormous hole in the wall. You said, what happened there? That's where the water rushing by took up a table, took out the wall. Same thing happened down at the nail spa. Same thing happened at Woodland Wines, where the water was right up to the roof, right up to the bottom of the roof there. And this all happened in an hour and a half, as sudden as that can be. And I'm usually, you know, a bit of a skinflint is my reputation, but sometimes you see the scope of the tragedy, know it's really important for all of us to step up and do the right thing and err on the side of generosity. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move really quickly. You know, we were here 1 week ago, you know, with George, and here we are in 2 days. We got FEMA coming. We got Small Business Administration coming. Bill, we better make sure the small business goes to each and every one of these places. They see the scope of what we need to get our folks back on their feet. We're going to have to be very prepared to detail the exact level of, you know, what the work is necessary to get our repairs done. You know, what Katie mentioned is, look, we're going to see where your culverts are. We're going to see where the worst of the flooding was. and make sure that what does it take to repair it the way it was, and more importantly, how we can repair it in a way that prevents some of this from happening later. I don't know how you prevent some of this stuff, though. You see that little river before it became the raging river? It's 30 feet down. There's riprap everywhere. You thought this was something we were prepared for. That river rose 30 feet, then it rose another 10 feet right here. So what we try and do, we can help at the local level as best we can. We get amazing support from our federal delegation, Dick and Johanna and the team. But as they said, it takes a little while, and we don't have a little while. So one of the things Dan and I wanted to do was immediately, right now, at least get you that grant up to $25,000, help you get things cleaned up. You've got hundreds of volunteers doing what they can. They've been shoveling mud in front of Woodland Wine and Spirits, help you get a little more, help you rebuild some of that inventory, as that'll help you get back on your feet, what we got to do. Garrett is working his heart out to do everything we can on the state roads. We'll be working with the municipalities, see how we can perhaps provide some low-cost financing so your town roads can get going, so you don't have to take a long end run in order to get your kids back to school. I think sometimes you have to come to visit and see and look with your own eyes to see the scope of the tragedy that's afflicted this town and Oxford and Seymour and others in the neighborhood. And sadly, it is happening more frequently. We're going to do everything we can to respond immediately right now and make sure the next tragedy is a little less and we can respond better than we have in the past. Hey, thank God for each and every one of you, and I love the spirit in this town. I love everybody rolling up their sleeves. Everybody I meet over there is a volunteer doing what they can to help out a friend. I hope you do the same.
We're going to take Q&A. I'm just going to close a little bit of information. Probably will answer some of those questions. So the application goes live on September 3rd. The goal is to start getting that money out into the community on a rolling basis 1 week from application date. So we're going to work really hard to move quickly here. There's an email address, which is unfortunately horribly long, but it's decdctrecovery@ct.gov, where you can submit questions, you can submit feedback. The application again? It's decdctrecovery@ct.gov. I'm going to do it one more time. decdctrecovery@ct.gov. And so there's flyers available if folks want them. But it is important for us to hear back from the community. Your feedback is welcome. Our goal here is to move quickly, but then also learn facts on the ground and continue to evolve as necessary. With that, we can open it up for Q&A.
What are the limits? What are the requirements? Is it open to any business? What's a small business?
A small business is defined as fewer than 100 employees. The program is capped at $5 million in aggregate, and grants of up to $25K. If you do the simple math, assuming everyone avails themselves of the full $25K, that's 200 businesses. And then in terms of what the capital is available for, it's available for certainly cleanup, it's available for lost inventory, it's available for lost revenue. The real goal here is to partner with our small businesses to get them open again.
Can I ask George and Anne Marie a question, please? The first selectman of Southbury just estimated his local damage at $100 million. Are you anywhere close to that kind of estimating?
I could speak for us. We're still in the process of trying to come up with that figure. I have a team of teams of 5 engineers, civil engineers, to measure our damages. But ours is probably well in excess of 50 million, probably in excess of 100 million. But once again, I'm not an expert.
Seymour is around that area. We're still waiting for more information to be coming in. Our emergency management director, Chris Edwards, who's also our chief fire chief, is also working on those numbers, but we are in that area.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Other questions?
Governor, you got any other ideas for money for people's 200 businesses could go very quickly? Or Dan, do you have any other ideas to give the governor? How about that?
Yeah, no, look, this is a rapidly evolving situation. Our goal, as I said, was to move quickly while we continue to pursue and expect to ultimately receive, particularly with the Senator's assurances, federal funds. And then some amount of this capital will also be available from insurance. Not flood insurance for small business, we understand that, but some of it should be addressed by insurance as well. We want to learn all of that and then address needs as we understand them. So the goal here was to move quickly, but also to evolve as necessary.
Bill, you said
there will be federal money available right away, but just not the total amount that we hope to get through the SBA, through FEMA. The SBA will provide loans that are at very, very low interest to help with some of the repair and recovery efforts, but our hope is to supplement it with a lot more.
Bill, you said teams from FEMA and SBA would be here this week and complete their inspections by the end of the week. Did I hear you correctly?
Yep, so we'll have 3 teams from FEMA and the Small Business Administration starting on Wednesday. They'll be focusing on Litchfield, New Haven, and Fairfield counties. And they'll be completed their assessments. They'll primarily focus in on the major damage and the destroyed damage. There are thresholds that have to be met with individual assistance. This is specific to individuals and businesses. We're going to look at public infrastructure a little bit down the road. That'll come next. But for this assessment, they really just need to get out there and see how bad it was, which won't be hard for us to show them, and then make the determination if we've met their criteria.
Now, is there a 30-day, maybe I read this wrong, is there a 30-day calendar ticking after the declaration of the emergency declaration for us to file for a major disaster declaration, or is it just however long it takes, it takes?
We have 30 days to make that request to the president for the presidential major disaster declaration, but we're not going to wait 30 days. We're pushing. We have the support of our state and federal delegations. As soon as this happened, they were calling us, what do we need to do to support you? We saw the very expedient turnaround of the emergency declaration with their support, and as soon as we're ready to go and we get these teams in here at the end of this week, we're going to push send on that button to submit the request to help our individuals and businesses.
So it's possible an application for a major declaration could come at the end of the week?
It is possible, or very early next week, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any estimate on what percentage of all this might be covered by insurance?
No.
No estimate?
No. That's why I say, it's an evolving situation. We have to get an understanding of the scope of not only the need, but also the availability of sources of funds. And that just takes some time. So the goal is to over communicate, to listen, and to give feedback as we learn more. But I don't have an estimate of that at this point, if any.
Anecdotally, Chris, I've talked to a lot of homeowners and business people. Not one is covered by insurance. And the reason is that insurance wouldn't cover what was regarded as a purely hypothetical, abstract idea that the little river would turn into a great blue farm.
Any other questions?
I have a question for the governor. So you pointed to the volunteer efforts here that have been aiding in the cleanup of all of these businesses. I know there are similar efforts for homeowners who have taken damage. Are there any plans to mobilize manpower from the state, either by activating the National Guard or some other means?
Garrett and our transportation team has been here almost immediately helping to get roads cleared. If the mayors need additional help, say the Connecticut Guard, we'll be right there to stand with them.
Awesome. So I just want to close by thanking all of you, thanking in particular Bill Purcell, who's been very helpful as a liaison with the business community. Thank you to Fran Pastore, who's here, who's partnering with us to help. There she is. You moved on me. Who's helping administer the program for us. Thank you for your continued partnership, and thank you all for your time today. Thanks so much.